All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Mark Jacobino, joined by Mikey Peniston.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
And today we are back talking about Solo Leveling Season 2. Since the last time we talked, it has become the most hype anime on the internet. It broke Crunchyroll, which is not that hard to do because that's a terrible streaming app, to be completely honest. But yeah, we are excited to dive in. We talked from episode 1 to 4 last time, so now we're going to be talking from 5 to the end of the season, and a lot has happened. We've missed a lot. It would have been nice to kind of hit these as it went, but that's fine. We have the Demon Castle arc. He gets the elixir of life. He revives his mom. We get the Japanese S-rank hunters joining the fold to join the raid at the Jeju Island arc. Yes. And then we end with just Sung Jin-woo being the most powerful person on earth at this moment. So, Mikey, how did you feel about, Season 2 overall compared to Season 1? Did you think it was an improvement? How did you feel about these hype action moments that this season brought?
So going into Season 2, I was very excited to see what could come. Season 1, again, was one of the first anime watches for me. And so I very much appreciate that this being one of, the first, just because it's so dynamic and it's different. And I feel like Season 2 especially is where we got to see a lot of that. In the first 4 episodes, like we covered, it kind of started off good. It was a little slow. I feel like it was, jumping back into it. I feel like they couldn't rush too much. But these episodes, I'm like 70-30. I feel like 70 hype. Yes, for sure. 30%. Okay. All right. Yeah. There's some room for critique, but I definitely feel like these episodes have definitely made this show stand out as like its own thing. Like the animation styles that we got in these, and even like the last 3 episodes alone, like it honestly just became so cinematic out of nowhere, and they kind of utilized like 3D animation at times, and the colors throughout every scene was just, it was so beautiful. And like they utilize lighting in ways that I've never seen before. It's just so unique. Story wise, so much was answered that I know a lot that we all were complaining about if we would ever get those answers to. Some things I feel like weren't fully answered, and that's where a lot of my critique comes in, but I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to put it, the 70-30. Solo Leveling, when I read the manhwa, when I'm watching the show, it's still, the moments between the action are very surface level. Like, I think the show in some respects does add a little bit more character and a little bit more depth, but overall, compared to other shows, it's pretty shallow when it comes to a lot of the characters other than Sung Jin-woo, which is the point, because he's the guy. He's the whole point of this power fantasy, and that's fine. But, when you go on the internet, you would think this is like the greatest show ever, but it's not. It's very much not. The action is incredible. A1 Pictures, they stepped up to the challenge of this source material. They're able to animate these huge scale battles with all these different pieces of the Shadow Army that Jin-woo has now collected over the past 28 episodes, and now we have these really dynamic battles where a lot of the times studios will cut corners and there'll be a lot of like bad CGI to fill the background, but I feel they've smartly animated certain actions of the Shadow Warriors to still make it interesting, and you can kind of get into the shoes of the fight while also still having the scale. So I agree, definitely when it's hype. It's hype. It does it in such a great way, but I do still think that the characters are the weakest part of the show, other than Sung Jin-woo. So let's jump into the first arc, which is the Demon Castle arc. Sung Jin-woo is just clearing floors. He's leveling up. He's killing all of these demons. He fights these like this guard of people, and they look really badass. And then he just kills them all like immediately. Really cool. But then we get dialogue from the demons. The demon girl like assists him in getting to the demon king. How are you feeling about the monsters in these dungeons being intelligent and sentient, and them having like their own society? Does that give you like any theories moving forward about where the show could go? Because there's more like throughout the season that they add on to it.
Really? Okay. Yes, it does. It gets me a little bit intrigued. if it's funny, I hadn't really thought about too much of where that could take this world
Right.
prior, but now that I am thinking about it, it is. I was caught off guard at
Mhm.
first. Let me say this, just by seeing how intelligent they were. I feel like with a lot of these monsters and demons and what we've seen in the past with a lot of who he's battling, they'll have like little quick remarks and they'll have snippy remarks, but for the most part, it's like it's not too much on that side of being able to form intellectual conversation and all of that. So it caught me off guard for
Yeah.
sure, especially with them being demons. I was like, oh, okay, like, dang, okay, all right.
Right.
But it does. Now I think about it, it does open the door to not just this world, but what truly is out there still.
Yeah. What is the system? Like, what
Yeah,
is this thing that gave him power? How
exactly.
does it all come together? Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be interesting to see how they pull it off. The Demon King fight was super dope.
It
I mean, he
was.
was fought a dragon and a Demon King riding the dragon. I really like the animation here. I think they really stepped it up, especially for this battle, because previously there had been, the battles have been cool. They've been very low to the ground, but this was the first like full on like magic going crazy. He fought like the I forget what they were called, but the other guys, like the trolls kind of, which was like,
Oh,
yeah,
like,
there was some magic going on there, but this one was like these two were just going all out, and I love how it just kind of gets to the moment where they use that, it's like the stenciled type of animation where he's going for like the final punch, and it's just like to show the rage and like the momentum. They changed to like a stencil style animation. That was super cool, and I think they do it a little bit later on. But
I,
yeah,
I feel like this was for sure the fight to tease a lot of what's to come
Mm.
with like how you brought up the stencil and like just again those different like animation forms that we're seeing play out, which I feel like for sure adds such an element to these battles and these
yeah,
fights. And like you said, little things like adding like momentum to a punch or things like that, it works so perfectly. Another little thing about this fight that I just really enjoyed, the rain.
right.
I don't know why it was such like a little thing to me, but like this show is so good at like the little details with each image. And I don't know, just seeing this whole battle play out. There was like a really cool shot where it was like almost like a low angle where you like see the dragon in the air and the demon
Mm.
like really riding it at one point.
Yeah.
And it was just something about like that in the rain and like all of it together. It was just so like each shot they really took their time with a lot of these episodes, I feel like. And so,
Right. Yeah, it gives it levels because I think previous fights have been in dungeons and like
yeah,
enclosed places, and this is the first time they opened up the arena to like literally like air versus land. And I think the Demon King had like lightning and like it was like crazy. It was a spectacle, super dope.
Mhm.
It was a great like introduction to the last portion of this season.
Yes.
In the end, Jinwoo does kill him, takes his dragon, takes his sword, and he finally gets the elixir of life. Comes home. It's an iconic shot in the manhwa where he's riding the dragon across the city, I think, to get to his mother. And he gives her the elixir of life. And I think this is the most underrated portion of the season. I think this entire scene is some of the best animation in the show, from just the moments of just like a still cam just on Jinwoo, like breaking down. There have been plenty of anime that just sit in those moments and the character's just sitting still, the tears are running down, and that's it. But in this scene, he's like falling into his mother's arm, and you just see all of his armor just kind of shed off. And I thought it was beautiful. The music was great. Hiroyuki Suwano, still fantastic. How did you feel about this scene? Did it stand out as much to you?
It does, and I'm happy that you brought it up the way you did because it was the most standout scene of this whole season for me.
Wow. Yeah.
I that was because coming off of season one, that was a storyline that I was always so intrigued with, and I feel like they touched on it, but then they kind of like diverted a lot just to focus on his storyline.
Right. Yeah.
And that was something I really wanted to come back to. And like they hinted at it early on in the season, but to actually have like this moment, this reward build up, it was so worth it. And like you said, it was so beautiful to watch. The tears coming like running down his face, like it was something about the music, like you brought up, it felt like you were in this atmosphere with them. And like you said, it was so like a still shot you could use and you're still right there immersed in it all. There was like the color, the way that they utilized the color blue in this shot. I don't even know like what it was necessarily coming from, or like if like
It was like the moonlight coming in.
yeah, yeah, but it just again it added to they're so good with lighting and colors.
Yeah.
It just they know how to use little things like that to add to that storyline, the tone of what they're trying to express. And again, that was for me like one of the biggest storylines that I feel like we needed to get back to. And it was just something too about seeing a vulnerable
Yes.
Jinwoo, just because we've seen him so right like OD at this point,
Yeah.
that it's nice to be able to just have a wholesome moment like that. And like, and then even the moment afterwards that followed, where it was like the mom, you know, kind of got to greet, you know, I think it was the sister. Yeah, it was it just everything that followed that, I was like, yes, we
Character.
Yeah.
We need character.
Yes.
It can't just be action all the time. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It brings them back down to earth. And I think, you know, people have to realize like animation, like every little piece of it was a decision, and you have to physically draw every little thing. So when the mother, you have the shot of the mother holding his face, but you see it from her angle and her arm just slightly moves. Like someone had to animate all of that just to convey that emotion and that like interaction between them. I thought it was just fantastic. And
Yes.
like you said with the color, like his color is blue, so having that room be illuminated in blue and this being his motivation for becoming this like killing machine, like fantastic. I'm glad we're here on this moment, because I'm sure a lot of other people are only talking about the big fights, so I wanted to highlight that.
Definitely,
So
yes.
jumping into the next portion, which is where we're gearing up for the Jeju Island arc, you know, attack. And they bring in the Japanese S-rank hunters to help out with the raid. And we see this geopolitical dynamic of these S-rank hunters coming in from Japan. They show that it's a bigger country when it comes to like hunter power. Like this is only like 9 of their S-rank hunters, but they have so many more. But in Korea, like that whole room, that's all their S-rank hunters. So it just shows that dynamic between the two countries, and it carries on throughout the arc, where the I think it's the like hunter association leader of Japan, or at least just one of the guilds, is essentially like, we're gonna help them out because it looks good and it might come and kill like us, the ants, but at the same time, if we can kind of weaken Korea to a degree and they could lose a couple S-rank hunters, that's also a really good thing. How are you feeling about like the geopolitics of the world? You know, we've seen some glimpses of like America and then also now Japan. Are you excited for like the world to expand outside of just like Jinwoo getting super strong?
I am. It took a little bit for me to get to that place of appreciation, just because we've been getting so much of Jinwoo getting strong that it's like, oh yeah. But it was this moment for sure, seeing the dynamic between the two and the hostility and like the fakeness in it all at times. It was so real, and I appreciated it too, because it's very, you know, it's very what's it called? I don't know the word I'm trying to think. It's loosely based off of the real world.
Right,
you know what I'm trying to say. And so I feel like to have those themes kind of thrown into the mix is just, that's always cool too. It's a little bit more relatable.
Yeah.
But then just also to the whole world building point of it all, and like we were saying before, like what else could be out there, and it has me interested to see what sort of competition dynamic you really get between everyone at this point. And I know that coming into this show, watching this with Mawa and manga, like you know, like you guys kind of informed me and got me up to speed on just like the differences between it, between just the origin of, you know, where all of this comes from and everything like that. And so I don't know, I feel like little things like that, which they might not even apply necessarily to the show fully, but like, I don't know, just to be able to get into that is so huge. But like specifically with the Japanese and the Korean, I just there was so much to have, like the government and the politics side of it, to the point of like seeing like now like these high up people getting dirty and kind of like corrupt. It's interesting, especially in the world of knowing how much power a lot of these people hold,
Right.
not just like that metaphor power, but also like somebody like Jinwoo who has like all the power.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
saying? So,
literally one-man armies. Like they could take down a nation if they wanted to. Like that's the crazy thing that, if this I think his name is Goto, the S rank
yes,
hunter,
yes.
like that dude was different. Like he was stronger than all of Korea's S rank hunters other than Jinwoo. So it's like, Japan has to control like these people that essentially don't have to listen to the government. It's really crazy dynamic. And then obviously Jinwoo has this monologue at the end of the season where he's talking about, hunters hunt, like that's what they're gonna do. So it's like towing that line of keeping them happy but also making sure they stay on the right side.
Mhm.
And then yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say really quick. It really reminded me of the Hunger Games at a certain point.
Yeah, true.
When we were like, especially when you saw them like training, fighting, and everything like that. It was like, I don't know. It felt like, oh, okay, like we're watching people that are like fighting to survive at the end of the day, but like they still want to be the best. You're still going to apply those rankings no matter what into stuff like this. So it's it was I just
Yeah.
that connection came to me.
Yeah, like they're all S ranks, but there's still like a hierarchy among the S ranks. Like even though you've reached the pinnacle, like you're still not at the top. You still have to prove it. So yeah, I agree. That's a good connection. So let's jump into the ant arc here. A lot of people on the internet. I know Vinny couldn't join today. I was gonna talk to him about the similarities between this and Hunter x Hunter. There's an arc in Hunter x Hunter that's called the Chimera Ant arc. A lot of similarities between the arcs, and a lot of people are like, oh, copying homework and stuff like that. But on its own right, let's just talk about the ant arc. I really like the tension that kind of gets wound up with this. That everything's going well. Things are going to go south, but you don't realize how south they're going to go and how quickly they are. Especially when you see it from the Japanese hunters' perspective, where they're like, all right, we're just clean up duty, and then their head's gone. And it's like, what was that? And then another one dies. And then you get the face off with Goto, the strongest S rank hunter in Japan, and the king ant, and his sword just gets, you just see the sword break, you don't even see a fight, which is probably more effective than seeing a fight.
100%.
You just don't even see it. He just gets washed, no problem. I read the manhwa. How was this like escalation for you for this whole arc? Up to the point where Jinwoo was taking on this overpowered king ant.
So I feel like the arc, I enjoyed it. This is where a little bit of my critique comes.
Shoot.
I feel like, I don't know if it's that we could have seen a little bit more. I don't know if. And I'm not saying necessarily like a moment like you said where it's like they hid certain things from us to give us the detail of what we're seeing. But I don't know. It just felt like there were times we could have. Maybe it goes back to the whole character thing. Like we're not getting enough of these characters fully.
Yeah.
And so there were times where it's just like, oh, I want to see a little bit more in these characters, but we're moving so far with this storyline, and we do need to rush and usher in certain things. And so I appreciated. Because there were also too many rooms, like there was too much room to breathe at times. I don't know. It was. I'm trying to like find the words.
They gave a little bit of character to the Tiger S rank with him and that healer. Like they added a little bit there. I forget if that was in the original story or if they added to that relationship a bit more. But I agree with you. That's the only like characters you care about on that island for real. Mm-hmm. Like everyone else, you kind of are told to care about, like Cha, the female S rank hunter, or the super strong like fire guy. Like you're like, they're cool, but you don't know anything about them, so there's no stakes in that respect.
100%. And then but I did like how quick things happened in terms of like the ants and the killing and everything. I felt like that was needed, especially coming off of like what we just talked about, them being stuck on like, oh no, we still have to be the best. Like, okay, we could be in here doing this stuff, but we're gonna make sure they do this, and we're gonna make sure they like. There needed to be a level of like, oh shit, like like this is happening, this is real, for them to be able to. I don't want to say come together, but for them to realize like, no, we need something stronger. And so I feel like that perfectly did usher in then Jinwoo coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to like just jump directly into the fight.
They know why we're here.
Exactly.
They know,
right?
They know why we're here.
Right.
Yeah, I think the only thing I wanted to talk about before I want to hear your thoughts on the fight, because I think this is like really interesting. But yeah, Jinwoo, I remember in the Mawa, I felt like him not being a part of the raid was stretched out for longer. Like I feel like we sat with him feeling guilty about not being there in the book,
Really?
where in this it's just kind of like it's happening, things start going south, and he's like, okay, exchange, and then he's there. Whereas I feel in the original work, it was more of a like he was struggling with it internally, like should I go, should I not go, like they might need me. Oh no, there's so many S ranks, like they're probably going to be fine. And then him seeing it kind of go south, like oh shit, I got to get there and save them. Whereas in this, it felt like it went south, and then Jim was like, okay, I'll show up and save the day. That, and I don't want to like ruin it for anyone else. Like I might not be remembering it perfectly, but I feel like I don't know why I would have that thought if I don't remember it that way. So I don't know if that ruins it, but it is interesting because it is brought up at the end where the Tiger guy's like, I know people are blaming you, but you saved the day. We wouldn't have made it out. But at the same time, it's like, if you were there from the beginning, probably would have went pretty smoothly. But yeah, regardless, I want to hear your thoughts on this fight between Jinwoo and the King Ant, because I would wager to say this is probably the most hype anime fight you've seen, right?
Oh yeah.
Would I be correct in saying that?
Oh yes, everything done perfectly. And as far as the fight, if I do say myself, what's it called? Before I get into that, to your last point,
sure.
Really quick, what was I gonna say? Can you just repeat?
He was like struggling if he should go or not. Should he stay?
Yes.
Should he not? Yeah.
Yes.
Should he help out? Yep.
I wish they added that.
Yeah,
Hearing
right.
That, I wish they added it because I feel like we don't get too many moments of him being conflicted with himself,
right?
And like him questioning, like, because it's almost like yes, we know he's cool, but like, is he cocky? Is he like too confident? So like, like letting that confliction of like, dang, like should I let them have room to shine? It's cool. I feel like they should.
Or like him being like feeling guilty about being home with his mom and sister. Like he just got his mom back. Like I want to be here for her and like all that stuff. Like I feel like even just like a scene or two there would have been really good.
It adds to the whole then mother storyline as well. Like we like that what was like, you know, that whole slow beat moment for them, you know, like they should have done that. But to the fight, to the fight. No, the fight was beautifully done. I feel like obviously, so this was the strongest we've seen Jinwoo, and the use of his army and the use of color again. I keep bringing up color, but like you said, his color being blue and the ants being red and the king ant and like there were a lot of times where like sometimes you wouldn't even see them. It was just like the colors and that represented like them just going at it because they were moving so fast and it was so, again, so on an animation standpoint, it was so uniquely done. There were like little specific like little moments that I want to highlight in it that like that weren't even necessarily like the main fight, but it was still just things that were like, oh my god, this is so cool.
I think I know where you're going with this.
What's it called? There was one moment where there were a few moments where like he was the king ant was like at this point like knocked down, and Jinwoo was it was like a little bit of a monologue where he was like, I'm supposed to be the king, I'm supposed to be the strongest, like who are you, what is this? What does Jinwoo do? He what happened? Of course, as I start to say it, I lose.
It always goes away. It always goes away.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
It'll come.
Another moment I really liked is when you were talking about how they're moving so fast. There's this shot of the other S rank hunters watching them, and there's one shot where it's like it zooms in on just one of their faces, and you just see their eyeball, like their pupil, like trying to track them, and they're sweating, and it's like these are S ranks, and they can't even keep up with what the hell is going on.
I remember the shot too. I did. It was the POV shots that you would get from the Ant King when he was on the ground, were just little things that was just like added to like, wow, like it's showing like he's defeated in this moment. And but I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
To your point as well.
And then and then you have like the Ant King, like his nails getting like so close to his pupil, like it has this super detailed shot of like Jinwoo like this close to being killed. And a lot of those like fisheye lens type things to just show like them going at each other, them just starting off by just squaring off against each other, just trading haymakers is just like so sick. And in the end, I mean, Jinwoo really doesn't struggle. Like he takes him on one-on-one, which you can't even say previously like he struggled in the last fight. Like this one, he didn't really struggle. He was like playing with this guy, and he didn't even use his shadows against him. Really.
Yeah.
And he does a whole transformation. Like the Ant King's like, yo, I'm transforming. I got wings now, and it still didn't matter. And Jinwoo was just like on a completely other stratosphere. And he wins, and he shadow extracts, and he extracts the healer and uses the healer to heal Cha, which was pretty cool.
It was cool.
Did you think he was gonna extract her, like make her a shadow?
I didn't think that was gonna happen. No, I didn't. Honestly, keep it real, I didn't. I mean, I knew they had to do something with her, but I didn't. He's just making anybody a shadow at this point.
Honestly, I mean, he did it with the A rank. It's like,
right?
Maybe.
Yeah, no, but it was cool to see like at that again the build up. Just his army is sick. There was like a moment where we got like a shot of just like the whole. I don't remember if that was the last episode or if that was this like the fight.
I think it was the last episode.
Was it okay?
In the forest, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But just to see like even like that, like every battle that he's like that we're witnessing, like whether it's a lesson learned or like he brutally destroys somebody, like they're with him now and like the move. So it's just so it's cool. Like he has so much power.
I know. And it's dangerous, obviously, like having a character that's so overpowered. Like you have to still have obstacles for them. So we'll see where that goes. But no, super cool, super exciting. We have like the Fallout, we have some other magical beasts kind of like showing up, and they have some like nefarious plans, like the ice elf and then that other tiger guy. So there's like that. We got the other S ranks from other countries. We see the one guy on top of the ship just destroy all the ants in one swoosh. Like the stage is set for a lot of like big things to happen. And then I just want to highlight like one of the last things is just the music at the end of this season as they're kind of fading out. Like I love that they have a reprisal of like that main hype battle scene, but they kind of elongate it, so it's like a little bit more like epic, and I really appreciate that. I'm really excited for that to come out on Spotify so I can listen to it again, because in the episode they never have the music like up enough, from your perspective as like a producer. I'm like, come on, like let's get those knobs going.
That's a fact.
I'm like, I'm trying to hear it.
Or they'll like have like the voiceover so over it at times that it's just like, no, like bring it in and let's just like feel the music with the picture.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to hear this nonsense. I want to hear the music. But and that takes us to the end of the season. Any other like big thoughts, or do you want to get into scores?
The only sort of, I don't think it's big, but it was just a cool thing that I could see. The only thing I see playing out as far as season, if there is a season 3, I don't know. I don't know how far we go. But I really liked. I keep forgetting her name. The blonde S. Right?
Oh, Cha.
It was Cha. It was Cha.
Yeah.
How she acknowledged in the very end, like, because like literally since the beginning of seeing Cha, it's always been like, who is this?
You
know what I'm saying? But it was kind of cool to be like for her to acknowledge herself, like Jinwoo is like this guy's strong, I'm not anywhere. I like almost like her saying herself like, I need to level up sort of thing, like just to be able to stand next to him sort of thing. But it was so cool to see like that reverse sort of point of view coming from a place where like he was once looking at her as like being so,
that's a good point,
right? And now he is just like literally on top of the world with his with his shadow dragon. So so I don't know, just a really cool way to end this season.
For sure.
Slow but cool.
Definitely.
We can
Okay,
do it too.
let's do some scores. I forgot what I gave season 1. I feel like I gave season 1 like a 7.
Okay.
Did we? I think you gave it like a 7.5,
I think
maybe
so,
8,
yeah.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
For season 2, I'll do. It's gonna sound like harsh. I'm gonna do a 7.5 again. I think it's a little bit better than season.
Harsh.
Yeah, I think it's a little better than season 1. Like better than season 1 in the fight scenes because they're way bigger. But the show is the fight scenes. Like that's what it is, and that's all it can ever be. You know, at this point. And we, as we talked about, we like some character moments, and
Yes,
this show only delivered that one, or maybe one or two really big ones this season. And you know, it's 13 episodes. Like that can't sustain like an amazing show. You know, so I think a 7.5 for me acknowledges those hype moments, but also when it's not hype, when it's just like the show, it's very shallow to a degree. So.
Very valid. Very, very valid. Yes, it can get shallow for sure.
Yeah.
If I going off of, I think I gave it an 8, like you said. To compare the two, I'm gonna be honest, I would give season 2 a 7 as opposed to season 1's 8.
Whoa.
That's
a take. You're gonna have to defend that one.
Yes, I would. So don't get me wrong, I loved season 2. I feel like as far as the fight scenes and animation, it definitely outdid season 1 tremendously. And I really appreciated a lot of what we got to see. The mother storyline, that was something that, you know, we talked about. I really wanted to see. But at the end of the day, and maybe I'm biased. Maybe this is a complete...
I think you're on point.
I love to see us branch out with these characters
cardboard cutouts,
right? Yes, but and the world, and I like to see, like we talked about, the politics in it all, but there's a level of watching Jinwoo in like these dungeons and like him leveling up and like that self journey that, again, maybe it was when I came into this show because it was so new to me.
Yeah.
I really like.
And you like the struggle. Like this season, Jinwoo didn't struggle. Like really, he didn't struggle.
100.
And you like the struggle from season 1, which is totally valid.
Yes, like I think back to the initial, like when he first got the level up ability, and like they beat homie up.
Yeah.
Like he was not okay. And so like I don't know, something about seeing that, I'm like, whoa, I forgot that was a thing that we saw. And so
yeah, and he did a lot of like morally questionable things in season 1. Like he's killed people in cold blood. Like all of that made him a lot more dynamic. And then this season, he has some moments, but most of the time it's just him just being that guy. Like that was the show, which is, again, people love it. That's fine. If you're here for hype, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it objectively as just a show, a story, there's a lot to be desired, which I think is fair.
And we talked so much on morals, like when we covered season 1, like that was always my favorite thing. And like there are morals and corruptness being like shown at play here, but it's nothing like seeing like your main character go through like that sort of thing. So
for sure. Well, we'll be back for season 3, and hopefully we get a little bit more of that whenever it comes out. I don't know. I mean, they pumped out these 2 seasons quick.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously things are only going to get bigger and bigger, so it's going to take a lot more time to animate. So we'll see when season 3 comes out, if it comes out. I'm sure it will, because the show's doing incredible online and streaming. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you thought of this season. Were you on the board of this was the most hype thing ever, or were you kind of with me and Mikey? You know, we want a little more character with our hype, you know? So let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, do all the things. Follow us on all of our social medias. Those are in the description. And we're covering pretty much everything on TV and in the movie theater. So please go check out our other content. I've been Mark Jacobino.
I'm Mikey Peniston.
And we'll see you on the next one.
This is The Culture.